Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and it's finally time to update the meta tier list. We didn't get to one in April, so this is technically the April meta tier list, but we'll call it May. That's fine, and we'll just sort of skip April from here on out. But we have a lot to get to, so I'm not really going to waste too much time. I'm just going to remind you guys that this is just my own personal opinion. As always, standard PSA. You're more than welcome to build any character that you want. This is just how I see the game and how it helps people sort of, plan ahead and sort of see where maybe stronger characters are, or where they can sort of use their resources a bit more efficiently and effectively. So, with that being said, let's dive into all of the changes. I'll try to go chronologically, but we do have to scroll to the right first and establish that Green Goblin, although he is not more prominently featured on the left side of the tier list, he certainly deserves to be there. But technically he's free to play. Well, and technically he's tier 2. That's what I meant to say. And so that's where he belongs. Now, unlike these other characters here, he does have a uniform that you purchase. However, it's pretty outrageous how much value is in that one purchase. And that's the only thing that you have to spend crystals on, because the rest of his gears, the rest of everything else is very free to play friendly, super easy to get his bios, and he's tremendously good. He's good enough that I could justify putting him in the meta gods category even as a tier 2. But I'm gonna put him there because we have a category for it. It's literally tier 2 gods, and because he's still actually tier 2. I don't want to confuse people just yet. He will make his way to the left side of the tier list when he gets his tier 3/transcendence. But make no mistake, Green Goblin is absolutely nutty. He has a frenzy buff on his 5th skill, I believe, that gives him 100% attack. It gives him other buffs as well, but the 100% attack, it's not a meme, it's not a joke. Ask Human Torch, it's meta defining. That's what makes a character meta. Honestly, he might actually be meta defining. That's how nutty he is. He's crazy good, and if you haven't gotten on the Green Goblin hype train, I encourage you to do so. It's delicious. They have cupcakes. So yeah, Green Goblin is just insane. Super easy rotation, super easy to play. Poison damage proc, CTP of energy, CTP of judgment, ABX, squad battle, world boss ultimate. He's just shredding content. Dispatch, he's good for dispatch. What is going on in the world? It's a Norman Osborn world. That's what it is, and we're just living in it. So yeah, that's Green Goblin, and don't miss it. Sandman and Vulture, on the other hand, are still pretty much doo-doo butter. So we're gonna leave them in Shadowlanders. They got their Transcendence, but they got literally nothing. Well, and they got an artifact. Besides those two things, they got literally nothing else, and they're literally not worth much else. I mean, you could make the argument that they're like, you can sort of use them in World Boss Legend, but you really can't. Please don't. Just transcend them when they're featured in the story mode fragment farming, and that's it. And wait and pray, if you're really a big fan, that they one day get uniforms. They sort of missed their boat here with the Spider-Man movies, but who knows? Maybe Sam Raimi does Spider-Man 4, and maybe we're having a different conversation in like 2 years. I think MFF will probably outlive Sandman and Vulture getting uniforms, so at least you have that to look forward to. So now that we've covered those characters, we are in the sort of borderline to meta-defining category, and there's actually been quite a few changes here in the speed class precipitated by Green Goblin's arrival. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but we're first going to talk briefly about Mysterio. He was by far the best of the 3 characters that got hit with the Transcendence minus uniform, Sandman, Vulture, and then, of course, Fishbowl. And yeah, he's actually legitimately good. I would say he's probably comparable to like Enchantress, Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman's more PvP, but Mysterio's honestly decent for PvE content. He can work with a proc obelisk, mind damage. He can work with a CTP of judgment or CTP of energy. Yeah, he's not bad at all. He's got a VPAD skill, he's got healing, he's got damage reduction, he's got nice buffs, he's got accumulation. He's just, honestly, he's borderline. He's pretty good, and that's honestly a lot better than we thought he was going to get. So yeah. And then we have, who's next? America Chavez. So America Chavez gets a pretty good rework. She gets a counterattack skill. She gets 40% HP for allies. She gets a reflect reduction. But suddenly she's banging on the door, making noise in PvP like she never was before. So her character honestly shifted in a big way. She was basically just a leadership before she got this new uniform, even though she had gotten a new uniform last year. So it hasn't even been that long for America Chavez, but when I touched on her before, she was leadership support. So she's really come a long way, and I would say she's probably equal nowadays to a PvP equivalent of someone like Sif, because she has a good leadership like Sif, she's decent for PvE content like Sif, and then she has that PvP passive, whereas Sif has a PvE passive. Maybe not as useful overall as Sif, because in PvP there's 2 game modes. There's Timeline Battle and Alliance Conquest, Whereas with Sif, you can use her as a support in World Boss and Squad Battle and ABX and GBR, yada, 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 right? So not quite as valuable, but definitely way better than Drax, right? So there's a little bit of a fall off there, but I'm actually really happy for America Chavez, and I think she got a a much deserved rework. Then we have Wong. We come over to Wong. I may be overvaluing him here, but I may also be undervaluing him here. We still have to see just how good his passive is when you put him on a Mystic team for something like PvP, especially when it comes to Doctor Doom and Adam Warlock both being Mystic allies, applying that passive buff. So he gets that passive buff tag here, and I think Meta God is honestly a pretty good place for him to be given his competition here. I think he's as good, maybe a little bit better than Rogue for World Boss content, and then he has all of that extra value as a support, which is very hard to place a value on. So I'm going to put him here for now tentatively. It may be a little bit of an overreach here. He is very bad in PvP on autoplay. He just spams 5 and 2 like a knucklehead. Like, you need really, really low cooldown. What I mean is, like, 50% is the cap. You need to drop that down to like 30% or 35% to really try to get Wong to start cooking. Maybe 40% will work, but 45% doesn't seem to be doing much for him, and he seems to still spam 5 and 2 because they have such short cooldowns, which is a problem. But that's really his only weakness at this point. He's proc friendly. He's got lots of cancelable skills, gorgeous animations, nice burst damage, and he works with lots of different builds. He's got the guaranteed crit rate and the regular crit rate and the crit damage, so it's super easy to cap his stats. He's honestly, he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, which is very nice to have in a game like this because it shows, or it basically indicates that he's going to have a lot of value for a long time. So yeah, we'll have to see how much that ends up being, but yeah. And then we have Scarlet Witch. I also dropped Dr. Doom here just briefly. He's slipping a bit in PvP, so I just dropped him one. He was in between Loki and Supergiant. I think he deserves to be here now. He's still good for PvE, no doubt about that, but he is slipping a little bit in PvP. And Scarlet Witch, the new chick on the block, she overthrows Thena. She's probably a step behind Thena for other PvE content, but she is dominating ABX and Squad Battle, which is huge for Scarlet Witch, despite on paper looking like she was getting a nerf. So she really did play some mind games with people who got all up in arms, got all, stressed out that she was going to be worse, and she ends up being a lot better. And that's basically due to the fact that she has tons of cancelable skills now, so you could just rapid fire through her rotation. She has much shorter cooldowns, she keeps her accumulation, and she has way more hits. Way more hits with chain hit damage on an energy or a judgment or something like that is just gravy. On top of the fact that she's still good enough with a rage, and the multiple hits, the hit multipliers that she has now, where she, most of her skills do more hits, means that you have more chances to crit, means that you have more chances to activate a rage. So she actually got a lot more consistent by the devs just dialing up the number of hits on her skills and just adding the ability to cancel through some of them. It was a pretty big loss aesthetically to not have that V-pad skill where she moves around and shoots that beam. But in hindsight, changing that up for a third skill that casts those little like red spikes that you can cancel, that honestly ties her kit together so much better, because in a way her fourth and her fifth skill are sort of the same in the sense that they're like delayed cancel skills, but it was her third skill that really changed the most. And you basically had to hang your proc or hang your combo on the third skill. You would do 2, 4, 5 or 2, 1, 4, 5, 3. I mean, you'd move around the arena beaming. Now you can just nestle 3 in the middle, and you can either land on 5, or you can just go into 5 and then go back into 1 and go back, and you can sort of cancel much more aggressively because you're not waiting for 4 and 5 to come off cooldown in order to then cancel them into 3. So yeah, it's sort of a blessing disguised as a curse for her losing her V-pad third skill, but it actually makes her rotation and her combo flow a lot better, a lot more hits, a lot more damage, a lot more score, a lot more points. And then we come to the big Doctor Strange, baby. The movie's coming out. No spoilers, please. Okay, I'll see you on the other side of the multiverse. But yeah, Doctor Strange comes out guns blazing, and I told you guys he'd be back. I told you that's why I put him in meta defining. Sorry. I said it 3 times in the video. I won't say I told you so one more time. Okay, we're done. I got it out of my system. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's just these moments don't come out very often, so I have to sort of blush in the spotlight. Doctor Strange, what can I say? He's amazing. He's fantastic. Hard to play. I'm probably going to get rid of that. Yeah, I probably should have gotten rid of that already. But yeah, he's fantastic. The only thing right now that he's not doing for people is PvP. But hey, looking at his artifact, thinking that maybe he's going to get a synergy uniform in a couple of weeks, maybe he will be good for PvP. But that's basically the only thing he's not going to shine in. Because you take him into any other game mode and he's breaking records. He's doing it all. He's eclipsing stronger characters, or so we thought, stronger characters, and he's doing it with the most variety in his build that we've ever seen, right? Before with Doctor Strange, it was just rage or quit. But now you've got an energy. You can go Mighty Destruction. There's so many options for him. Yes, he's harder to play with that, and he might, earn back that controller tag, but I don't think it's that hard. And I definitely think the difficulty is worth what you get in return, because when you stack that chain hit up with the existing chain hit, he just goes berserk when you do that 5 cancel 4 cancel 3 or 2 cancel 1 cancel 3 combo. He just goes absolutely berserk. So yeah, Doctor Strange is back, leading the ship, sailing us to a new meta future. So we'll see where that leads us. But yeah, he's basically taking out everyone in the blast class and replacing them with his own icons. Okay, so that's basically it for the new characters, or the new uniforms, and sort of the new upgrades. But now you're going to see... Oh, wait. No, sorry. We have one more. We have Electro. My bad. I forgot about Electro in the original video as well. So with Electro, I would have been singing Electro's praises. I feel kind of bad for Electro because Green Goblin. And Green Goblin is the reason, by the way, that Gamora moved down from Meta God to Meta-ish. Echo moves down to accommodate Gamora. Bullseye gets just deleted way down to borderline, and Winter Soldier also moves down. That's sort of, irrelevant. But yeah, Gamora and Bullseye, and to an extent Electro. I still think Electro's a really good character. I'm going to overvalue him a little bit here. He has a support buff for lightning damage, so keep that in mind. But he's got a good leadership for the Sinister Six, and he's just so easy to play, so fun to play, so unique with the movement-based accumulation. I still think he's very, very good. However, honestly, Green Goblin's better. If you just put them side by side with the same build and the same content, Green Goblin comes out on top. So technically, Green Goblin should be here ahead of Electro. So let me just say this: if Green Goblin was tier 3able, he would be right here at the very minimum. Even if his tier 3 did nothing. Okay, let me just say that again. Even if Green Goblin, his tier 3 did nothing for him, it was an empty button, but it just gave him the stat boost, and it gave him the ability to go into tier 3 content, he would be right where Hawkeye is, right under Captain America Falcon. And honestly, he might be better than that. I'm just playing a bit conservative. So that's sort of the problem with Electro and basically all other speed villains now. They just cannot keep up with Norman. So I don't want to forget about Electro, but I do feel like some players are going to forget about Electro because Green Goblin's just a better, cheaper, easier version. That's just basically straight up how it is. But Electro's still very, very good and very easy to play, fun to play, really gorgeous animations, and he'll get you 90 to 95% of what Green Goblin will get you. So that's pretty good, and it's still worthy of sort of the meta god tag. But yeah, things are getting very bulky and very, very crowded here. So don't be surprised if the tier list finds itself in another makeover situation in a couple of months, because they've just made too many reworks and too many characters are good now, and we can't have that, right? We gotta trim the herd. We gotta slim it down. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this new meta tier list a month later, more than a month later. Yeesh. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button. Here's to 7 years in MFF, and here's to 7 more, baby. Cheers. I'll see you guys in 2029. Yo, almost 2030. Cool. All right, take care.